Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode. Talking with my friend Tobey today. Did an in-person one. I like the in-person versus the remote. I mean, it's just it's better. It's better to be face-to-face with people. And Tobey's a local Denverite like myself, one of the heads of the Psychedelic Club, and puts together those meetings every Monday where they do all kinds of things like psychedelic show and tell, book talks. They hosted the Psychedelic Mind Jam, the first one. And then I did another one at the Psychedelic Club up at CSU in Fort Collins, which is really fun. Really, really fun. I'm very excited about the Mind Jams. They're pretty cool, and I'm excited to bring them out more and more. I'll talk about it more in another time. Tobey also is the founder of Altered States Integration. Altered States Integration is a website where you can go to get integration support. It's online. Sometimes people don't have access to integration resources where they live. Maybe they don't know of anybody. They're not, plugged into a psychedelic scene. Maybe there isn't a psychedelic scene. So Altered States has peer coaching. They use an interview style approach that allows them to work with clients directly on the integration process. They believe that talking about the psychedelic experience in altered states is one of the primary tools to reaching a deeper understanding. And Altered States Integration is the website. You can go there, alteredstatesintegration.com, find out more. And I believe Tobey put together a little discount code for Psychedelic listeners, so stay tuned to the end of the podcast where he talks about that. I think I'll put it in the show notes as well, so you can access that. But they're on Facebook and Instagram as well. You can go check them out. Altered States Integration, Altered States Integration everywhere you go. So that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you do, please leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the podcast grow. If you want to support the show a step further, you can go to Patreon, patreon.com/Mike Brank, or search Psychedelic on Patreon. Donate as little as you want, $1 a month, $2 a month. Every little bit helps. You can also go to MikeBrank.com, BRANC, and on my website there's more information where you can help and support in all the ways that you feel comfortable doing or that you feel called to do. As always, message me, reach out. I am currently in a digital detox, so I'm off of social media. I'm not really participating in social media, although I still have Facebook Messenger active on my phone. So you could reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. You can go to my website, send me an email. But if you're hitting me up on Instagram, I'm not going to respond. I'm going to be off for about a month. Digital detox, social media detox, unplugging from the social media world. I feel like it's good. I was saying this, I don't know if this makes sense, but I was saying this to my friend the other day. I was like, in this three-dimensional meat suit reality world, we will take psychedelics to kind of, defrag our hard drive, so to speak, get clean, cleanse the mind palette, get a reset, get a remembrance, get a reconnectedness. Well, how do we do that in the digital world? Like, how do we dose our digital selves? How do we kind of cleanse and clear? And I think that maybe it would be a good thing to do a digital detox every now and then, just kind of disconnect. And I think there's this fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to miss out. I'm going to miss out of like people trying to reach out to me and talk to me and what's going on and that kind of thing. But it'll all be there. And if people really want to get in touch with you, there's other ways, right? There's other ways. You can, like I said, you can email me. I still have Facebook Messenger on, so you can message me. But and Facebook actually has a local events app, so you can stay connected with like local events and stuff. So you don't actually need Facebook. So you could get the local events app. You could keep Messenger. But it's just, I think for me, it's actually really helping me because we don't really know how much the bombardment of the information stream and the media and the people and their lives and the things that they're doing and the likes and the follows and the shares and we don't know how much of that how much we're being impacted by that. even if we say like, oh, it's fine, it doesn't impact me, we still don't know, because how much can we actually handle like coming at us every day. I remember like Tim Ferriss, I think, was talking about why Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day. Because it's just like eliminating the decision-making process. The decision-making process takes a lot of time and consumes a lot of cognitive effort and energy. It takes a lot of time to figure out what you want to eat, right? So a lot of people do meal prep and they prepare ahead of time. So these are all just little tips and tricks that we can use wherever we feel called to in our lives. It doesn't have to be a digital detox. It doesn't have to be a meal plan. You don't have to wear the same clothes every day. But whatever you feel that you can eliminate a little bit of cognitive overextension or cognitive overstimulation to give yourself a little reprieve, a little more space, a little more peace, a little more calmness. I think that all too much people are striving to achieve, striving to be better than, other people. And, certainly from speaking from a place of myself, oftentimes as a creator, I'm going on social media and I find, a lot of like judgment popping up, or maybe even jealousy, and be like, oh man, why is this happening? Why am I feeling these feelings? And I think it's only natural when we are in this massive infinite pool of interconnectedness online, seeing other people's lives, seeing what other people doing, what other people are doing, and feeling maybe like we're not good enough, feeling like maybe we haven't achieved enough or we haven't done enough. But I've been feeling a lot more peace since being disconnected from social media, and feeling that my world is my world that exists in front of me, my friends, my community, and I'm worried more about. I'm spending more time actually doing the things that I want to do that are going to help benefit me and serve myself and my higher purpose and my higher good. Reading a little bit more, and a little bit more. So yeah, I guess I would just say that that's the news information, what's going on with me. So if you haven't seen me active and promoting the episodes and on social media and doing the posting things, I'm not dead. I'm just obviously I'm not dead. I'm talking right now. I'm just taking a break. I'm going to take a 30-day break. I think it's been 2 weeks now. And I'll report back on how I feel. I think maybe I'll do an episode about how I feel about it. So far, so good. So far, I'm feeling like I'm increasing the space of a little bit more calmness and a little bit more peace. So that's my shtick. That's my spiel for today. But that's pretty much it. Go check out Altered States Integration. And I hope you enjoy this podcast with my friend Tobey.
Psychedelics are illegal not because a loving government is concerned that you may jump out of a third-story window. Psychedelics are illegal because they dissolve opinion structures and culturally laid down models of behavior and information processing. They open to us the possibility that everything we know is wrong.
We don't need new laws that control our consciousness and rigidly place it in a prison.
Cognitive liberty. The fact that as adults, if we're not hurting anybody else, we should have the right to explore the contours of our own consciousness without any mediation or legislation on the part of somebody else.
Reject authority. Authority is a lie.
Or is it perception?
Information is power, but we have to seize the opportunity. The opportunity.
What did you used to go to a lot of clubs, or do you?
Yes, I used to be a club kid for sure.
Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here.
Oh, you did? You grew up in Denver?
Yeah.
All right. Denver native. I think you're the first on the show.
I wasn't born here.
All right. Well, we can edit that part out. The Colorado native.
No, I was born in Washington, D.C.
Oh, D.C. Okay. D.C. born.
And then we moved here when I was like 3.
And then you were, okay. Oh, okay. Well, then, that counts. That counts.
I mean, people in Denver are really like or Colorado in general, they're really about their native pride.
Yeah.
More so than anywhere else that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
everyone in Texas is happy to be from Texas, but, like, everyone from Colorado, they're like, I'm a native.
I think it's because it's so awesome here and it's so beautiful that, like, people really want to make sure that they're like, you're an outsider. You didn't help create this. We did. That's my hypothesis.
Yeah, but it
Something
just,
like
just
that.
seems dumb to me.
I know. Yeah.
Like, no one grew up here, like, originally.
Right. Yeah, we're all from somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's what makes, like, our country great. So why are you, like, being elitist about it?
Agreed. Yeah. You know what's weird is that, like, I've heard people say this, but I've never encountered anyone because, like, I just moved here a year ago and I'm from New York. So I feel like I'm like a stereotypical, like, douchebag asshole that moves here and, like, people don't want here. Like, oh, some New York guy coming moving into here. But I've never experienced, like, anybody being, like, nasty towards me or anything. If you want to be nasty towards me, message me, DM me on Instagram.
DM
talk
me
shit.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Be like, you're not from Colorado.
Yeah, talk shit on Instagram. So anyway, yeah, you grew up here, and so you were hitting the clubs. You were a club kid.
Yeah, I was a club kid for a while. I think that was, like, my introduction to, like, music and music culture was through clubs.
Mm-hmm. Is that how you got into psychedelics?
I mean, yeah, I took my psychedelic for a first time at a club.
Which one?
Beta downtown.
Which psychedelic?
Oh, LSD.
LSD at Beta downtown. Shout out to
Yes.
Beta. Shout out to LSD. Shout out to Albert Hoffman.
Yeah, shout out to Albert Hoffman for real, though.
Yeah. Yeah, my first big, profound psychedelic experience was with LSD. It's I feel like that seems to be the one that does the trick for a lot of people.
Yeah, I don't know if, like, the club was, like, the profound part, but, like, the music, like, the introspection was definitely profound about it.
Yeah. Oh, so you had a really positive experience?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that was the big one, but I had some, like, heart-opening experiences with LSD, and just, I don't know, very introspective for me. And I don't know if I was very introspective at that time in my life, and it was really, I think, important as, like, a catalyst for growth.
How old were you?
I was 21 when I don't know, I was really sad. I just got out of, like, a big breakup, probably, like, the first big breakup, and I was, like, lost. And I don't know, I think I found it right when I needed some guidance in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, were you, like, kind of maybe, like, calling that in? Like, and that's how it found you? Because, like, a lot of people say, and I think I'm a believer in this, is like, psychedelics kind of find you when you need them.
Yeah, no, I definitely have heard people say that, and I don't think that's false. Like, I definitely needed some kind of guidance, and I was, like, stuck in life, and I think psychedelics are really great tools to get you unstuck.
Were you, so you were pretty open to that, like, before? Had you had previous drug experiences, or, like, what was your situation like before that experience? Like, it seems like you were positive and open to it, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. I've always kind of, like, been a pothead. That was, like, my first drug experience. I've never really been a big fan of alcohol. Like, I drank for a while, but I don't know if I've ever been, like, a drinker. And I don't know. We went to the club, and it was my 21st birthday. I was sad. My friends were trying to cheer me up. And I don't know, there was almost like a moment of divine synchronicity. One of my friends bought some cocaine, and we were going down to the bathroom to do the cocaine. They're like, it's your birthday, you have to do drugs. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I was like, I had smoked pot and, like, drunk, but I wasn't, like, into drugs or anything. And then in a moment of divine synchronicity, the bag of coke slips out of my friend's hand and, like, falls behind the stairs, and nobody can grab it. And then the only drugs that my friend can find in the club is LSD. So it felt very synchronistic that it, like, found me that night.
Nice, yeah. That's good. The ghost of Albert Hoffman, like, knocked it away.
Knocked it away. He's like,
you need this instead.
Yeah.
And you will do great things, Tobey. Yeah, I remember Sarah Gale from Zendo talking about like how, you know, when was your first psychedelic experience and all this kind of stuff, and she was like, yeah, you know, I did a lot of drugs, and it was just all like, we were just doing them, and it was just all together. And that was kind of my experience too. Was that similar to you? Like, did you continue kind of just like doing all kinds of stuff, or did you start? When did you start to kind of maybe use it with more intention or purpose, or was there a turning point for you?
Yeah, most definitely. So for a while, we were definitely just doing drugs. Like, we would go out, we would party, and there wasn't like any mindfulness. There wasn't any, like, I didn't know anything. And we were like being dangerous, but it wasn't something that I was like aware enough to realize that like taking drugs without testing them, without like weighing them was dumb. And eventually, like, I went out a lot and I came across, I made some friends who were with Dance Safe. And they are harm reduction in the nightlife. So they talk about know your dose, know your drug, and they talk a lot about like harm reduction. So some of my friends that I had made were volunteering with Dance Safe, and that really spoke to me. And then there was one night when I was at a party at somebody's house that they tested all the drugs. They busted out a test kit, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I didn't know you could do this. Like, you put this on drugs and it turns colors and it tells you like something about what's inside the drug. Wow, that's really cool. So I think that was like my turning point, was like encountering people who were smarter and more knowledgeable than me that were like able to show me smarter ways to do it. So I think that was a real turning point for me.
Nice. Yeah. Good friends. And thank God for Dance Safe for being I think they're one of the best organizations, maybe the best organization in the world, like doing what they're doing, because, unfortunately we live in this prohibitionist, crazy, insane world, and they're saving a lot of people's lives. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out to Dance Safe. Shout out to Arrowwood as well. Education-based knowledge is so important, I think, when it comes to making informed decisions. And it wasn't something that I was given by like my parents or by school or anything. And I don't know, that seems sad that like the people who told me about these resources were drug users, which is interesting, I guess, that the resources I got were different than what they should have been.
Yeah. I mean, we're so fortunate to live in the time that we do, where we can go online and access places like Arrowwood and others, for sure. What was your like family life like? Were your parents like? I mean, you mentioned that you were like a pothead, but like, were they like cool with that, or do they know that, or how were they towards like drugs and stuff?
Oh, not really. Like, they were never really about the drugs. I think more recently they've been more about psychedelics as more of the research has come out. Both of my parents are psychologists, so I think like as there's more research into like the benefits of these as psychiatric tools, I think they've been more open towards it.
Nice, yeah. And so obviously they know that you're with Psychedelic Club, and you helped form Psychedelic Club, right?
Yeah, so I helped with the Denver chapter.
The Denver chapter, yeah.
The Denver chapter of the Psychedelic Club I helped start, and I've been running for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you do such an amazing job. I mean, I love going to the events. You always hold the space really well, and good getting the community together, good engaging conversations and dialogues, and good questions, and good what's the word I'm looking for? Questions where you can win things. What is that called? Trivia?
Trivia, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
The words escaped me. Yeah. Yeah, good trivia. I always like the trivia questions. Yeah, so when did you get involved with that? That was a couple years ago?
Yeah, so June 2016, July was when we were first getting involved for Psychedelic Club of Denver. So it started off, it was our first meeting. There's, I don't know, probably 8 of us in a dive bar in Denver, the Monkey Bar. Was our first meeting.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, on Broadway?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think, not Broadway, Santa Fe.
Oh, Santa Fe. Yeah, Santa Fe. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was our first meeting. We met there for a little bit. We had our first bicycle day party there. Cool place.
Awesome. Yeah, and now you created another project that you're heading, Altered States Integration.
Yeah, so that's my newest project. Altered States Integration is like an online integration platform. So as part of my work with Psychedelic Club, we have a monthly peer integration group where you can talk with your peers about your psychedelic experiences and try to integrate them, try to gain some insight from them, hear other people's like perspectives, and then we talk a lot about integration techniques, mindfulness, yoga, journaling, just different ways to get the most out of these experiences. So that's kind of like a continuation of my work on an integration circle to like bring it online. I feel really, really grateful that I live in Denver, Colorado, where there's this like great psychedelic community. But I don't know, I feel like these resources should be available to everybody. So That's what Altered States Integration tries to offer, is online integration resources. So we do a peer integration group, and then we also do like one-on-one psychedelic coaching.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's awesome that you can do it online because, like you said, there's so many people that don't have access, don't have resources, and don't know people. So it's alteredstatesintegration.com. Is that right? And people can go there and sort of poke around and see if they can get a consultation, or how does it work?
Yeah, so alteredstatesintegration.com. So we have a lot of different resources on there. We have a blog. We have some classes upcoming. We have some webinars, and then we also have a workshop package coming up. This is, we call it Vision 2020 is the name that we've come up with. It might be a little bit cliched, but I think it's really evocative of what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to help you get some insight into your experience. So this workshop package, it kind of gives you the prep work. We get to know you. We help you with integration. We go over intention setting, like the homework almost, I call it, like your pre-trip checklist, like how do you create a safe space? You're going to have a trip sitter, stuff like that. We go over all those important things with you. And then we have a session where we try to discover like stumbling blocks, like what are things that you might have trouble with, like what might come up in the altered state, where might you not be successful. And then we provide a break. You go take your altered state experience, and then we provide our integration services afterwards. So that's something we're launching in the new year.
Awesome. Congrats on that. That sounds awesome and much needed. Such a needed service. I think a lot of people hear integration, or the word seems to be going around a lot, but maybe you could explain a little bit and start off with like, how did you first learn about integration? Because when I first started dabbling in psychedelics, I didn't know anything about integration. It was like new to me. And then once I started learning about it, I was like, well, this is really helpful. So how did that play out for you?
So I really think the important connection I made, you talked about Sarah Gale earlier, and Sarah Gale started the Zendo Project, and the Zendo Project is psychedelic first aid at music festivals. So I think that was really the pivotal piece, that I had learned about Dance Safe, and then I was at a festival and I learned about Zendo Project, and I kind of connect with some people at Zendo Project. And Zendo Project, I volunteered with them for the past 4 years. I think this is going to be my 5th year offering psychedelic first aid with Zendo Project. And that, I think, was really the important thing. I met a lot of people who were aware of like mindfulness and like intention. So I think that was my first exposure to integration as a concept, was like through the Zendo Project, and how do you integrate these experiences. And it just really has called to me as an idea. Like, I think it's really easy to you have these big psychedelic experiences, but it's really hard to make changes. Just in general, I think changes like that are long and lasting are really hard. And like, you still have work on Monday. Like, you had this big, huge opening experience, but like, you still have work on Monday and rent's due on the 1st. So you can't really like go all kumbaya and be like, okay, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to travel around the country, like making tie-dye. Like, maybe that would definitely make you more happy, but is that really realistic? So integration's about how do you like make these changes in like a lasting, real way.
Yeah, because you could have big, profound experiences that really deconstruct everything you thought you knew about the world and your identity, and now you have to go into work. I've seen some funny memes. You've probably seen them too, like a guy wearing like a dragon costume at the gas station, like pumping gas. It's like, when you had a big psychedelic journey over the weekend and now you're on your way to work or something like that. So yeah, it is kind of plugging back into like normal consciousness, the normal state of consciousness, the normal flow of reality, right?
Yeah, because I think if you can't access these insights gained in your day-to-day, what's the point? Like, otherwise you're having these big experiences, but if there's no like lasting change, you're just like engaging in, I don't know, spiritual bypass, psychedelic masturbation. I don't know what you want to call it, but like, and I think we all know those people who just every weekend they're taking a huge dose of psychedelics, but there's no mindfulness, there's no pondering, there's no how does this change and affect me. There's just let's go do it again.
So what was it like for you? Like your first, or maybe you could share, like, if you feel comfortable sharing, maybe like a big experience that you had, and then integrating that afterwards, like walking me through like what that looked like for you.
Yeah, of course. So I don't know. I think at least with psychedelics, I've had a couple like peak experiences, and the one that comes to mind right now is an experience I had where I was gratitude. it was more than just like me feeling grateful. I was in this place of being like gratitude. I embodied gratitude, and that felt really, really powerful when I was there. Just like wonderful. Like I would exist forever as great being gratitude. Gratitude's such great energy. But then after like on the back end of the experience, I was like me again, and that's kind of hard to like come back to not being boundless gratitude. That's really hard. So I don't know. Integration's really difficult. Like, but I did a lot of like gratitude yoga, and I can still like feel like I can access that place if I like practice being grateful. I feel like I can revisit that place. So I think it's really important. Integration is like a way to like find a tie back to that experience. So whether like I did gratitude yoga to like cultivate that feeling of gratitude, but maybe journaling, like so you have like a physical piece you like look back on. Like I just think some ties back to the experience to like your default reality is really, really important part of like that integration.
Yeah, definitely. And it can come in many forms, right? Like you said, like journaling or maybe drawing or sketching or painting or, playing some music or doing something that sort of reminds you of that place.
Yeah, I love art as an integration tool because then you have something physical. You have like this physical symbol of your experience. And like that's part of at least the holotropic breath work I've done is at the end of the holotropic breath work, you make a piece of art, at least in the ones I've done, and then you share your piece of art. I think that's great that you have this visual representation of this transpersonal experience, and then you share about it.
Yeah, I've never done holotropic breath work. I for a while I did. I bought the Wim Hof course, which is sort of a different kind of thing, I guess. But
Wim Hof is ice baths, right?
Yeah. So he does a breathing technique and then ice baths, and it's all about gaining control over the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous, the sympathetic nervous system, and if I remember that correctly, I think someone will correct me, but yeah, I haven't done it in a while, but I was doing it for a little bit, and I know Kyle and Joe run those workshops, Psychedelics Today. What was that like? What was holotropic breathwork like?
So I've done holotropic breathwork and I've done some cannabis breathwork, and both of them were surprisingly psychedelic. Like I went very far for using just my breath or just my breath plus cannabis. I don't know, hard to put into words. The biggest takeaway from one of the holotropic breathworks, I think, was itchy. It was like the sensation of being itchy. And I don't know, it was something that I have like eczema always, so like my skin is very itchy, and so I just felt like instead of like trying to run away from the itchy, I was able to like sit there and like bathe in it. It wasn't like comfortable, but I felt like there was definitely like some energetic shift afterwards.
Did you feel a sense of euphoria, or was there anything else associated with it? Because yeah, I mean, I'm just interested. I don't really know too much about holotropic breathwork.
No, so at least on this one experience, I felt itchy.
Yeah, just itchy.
Just itchy. That was like my big takeaway. And maybe it was a little disappointing. The people that I was doing holotropic breathwork were like, yeah, I turned into a dragon and flew around. And I'm like, man, I just sat and like dealt with my itchiness. But afterwards, I felt much better. It felt like something had been processed and like a weight had been lifted. So that was the big takeaway.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I've had several experiences like that. A few times on ayahuasca, I remember I drank a large cup and I was sitting there and nothing happened. Nothing happened to me. And it was like so surprising. I went and talked with one of the facilitators who was facilitating the ceremony, and he was like, maybe something did happen. You're just not really aware of it, because it's always working on an inner level. But yeah, sometimes I think we're looking for this like big fireworks show and this kind of like euphoric, blissful thing, but sometimes you're just itchy for a couple hours, right?
Yeah, and I don't know, like I think we're always looking for these huge like peak positive experiences, but I think like sometimes difficult, uncomfortable experiences let you do some really important work too, like face some shadow work, and I think that's important.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's scary too. I feel like a lot of people don't, you brought up spiritual bypassing before. Like I think it's possible to do a lot of psychedelic work and still attach to like, or maybe still drive your car past the shadow realm, you know, in a sense. I don't know if it's like always possible to avoid it, but yeah, that's a big part of it too, right? Like integrating the shadow, going into those dark places.
Yeah, is going into those dark places, maybe even without judgment, right? And just see what is there. And I don't know, I think a lot of times like those dark places have judgment associated with them, right? So I think a lot of the times like it's important to just take a look, see what's there. And I don't know, I think art is a great tool for like looking at your shadow side and seeing how it feels to like play there a little bit, maybe bring some light to that dark.
Yeah, that's such a good point. For sure. I think it's all about how we relate to it, right? Like, you know, our dialogue with the shadow side and our relationship with the shadow side. If it's baked and ensconced in fear and worry and anxiety, and we're showing up that way, then it's kind of going to remain that way until we show up in a different way. What do you think?
Yes, most definitely. One of the principles from Zendo Project is difficult, not the same as bad. And I really resonate with that in general, but also like in the psychedelic world, that a lot of times if you set aside like this attachment to having like a good experience and you just see what's there, like these psychedelic experiences might be difficult, but difficult experiences offer a lot of opportunity for growth if framed correctly.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, there's potential for growth, and I think we all, like, I want to grow, you want to grow, right? Do you think what else can we gain from the experiences, like, other than growth? I mean, growth is a great thing, but is it like limitless growth? Is there a cap? Is there a glass ceiling on growth, or is there always something around the corner, maybe something hiding that we didn't see? You know, I think journeying, being a psychonaut and journeying and having a lot of psychedelic experiences, there's sometimes a tendency to be like, oh, cool, like I'm healed, I'm good, like I've made it through the storm, and you're cruising along and it's a nice sunny day until, you know, a couple of weeks later and you're like, oh shit, there's that thing I didn't see. You know, is there have you had experience with that? Like, have you?
I mean, I think there's always work to be done.
Yeah.
I think one of the traps it's easy to fall into with psychedelics is the idea that you're there, you're enlightened, I did it. And then, like, you're stuck in this place of ego, right, where you're so enlightened. And it's hard to be doing the work if you're, like, sitting in the work, you're, like, thinking about how you're already there. So I think it's always really important to, like, the process that is what I think is really important. Like, I do a lot of yoga, and I think that's really taught me to embrace like the process and not like look for a goal. Like, I think there's always work to be done. There's always growth to be attained. And I think a lot of the time you come back to these lessons that you thought you had learned, and you have this new perspective that offers new depth and something you didn't see the first time. You're like, aha, I know this lesson. But then you come back to it with this new perspective, and it's different, more expansive, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like maybe what I said before was a little confusing or something, because I was just thinking about these times where you sort of, it's like, I don't know, going on a hike and then you reach the top, you know, and you're like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm here. But then you got to go back down and, you know, you got to go about things. And yeah, but I think that's a nice feeling to have, because you don't always want to be like, oh, I got to do more work. Like, I think that's a thing too, is like getting like addicted to the healing and the work and the growth. It's like, oh, I got to go in more. I got to do more. I got to be better. I got to be perfect. I got to find all my demons and kill them all. And, you know, yeah, like being addicted to, like, I'm wondering if you see this as well, because it's definitely something that I noticed. Like, I wish I had a good word for it, but people that get into psychedelics and they're in it with intention, and they want to grow and they want to heal, but then it's like never ending, and it's like becomes serious. It's like, I got to do the work, you know, when it's like, it could be fun and it could be enjoyable too.
Yeah, I think enjoyment is an important part of this. Yeah, I've definitely seen that phenomenon too, where somebody's always trying to like dig deep, right? And it becomes a really serious effort, right? Where you're always trying, and then you maybe even are overindulging in psychedelics, or maybe every time if it's just like not a deep experience, you're dissatisfied. And I think it's really important to like embrace play. Like, not every time has to be this big, deep, mystical experience.
Yeah, totally. I mean, because like and especially when you're starting out, like using them recreationally. I mean, it's fun. It's fun. You know, there's so much fun and love associated with psychedelics too. And then there's also doing the work. So there's like, I mean, just like anything, like music, there's so many genres. Psychedelics have many genres as well, genres of psychedelics and then genres within the psychedelics themselves. Would you consider yourself a psychonaut?
I hate that word. I don't know why I hate that word.
Did I trigger you? I'm sorry.
No, I just don't know if I think it's the most descriptive word of the experience. And maybe I'm like wrong here. Maybe it's like explorer of inner spaces, like psychonaut. I just feel like there's a more apt, less druggy term to be using as somebody who's interested in these things. Like, I'm really interested in psychedelics because they're transpersonal tools, right? They like can be applied in transpersonal psychology and like Jungian psychology. So I don't know, like I'm interested in them as like lenses to explore consciousness. I don't know if that makes me a psychonaut.
Oh, yeah, you're a lensonaut.
A lensonaut. That sounds horrible. There has to be a better way to say that.
I mean, it's like what we got to think of a better word. We got to think of some new words. But yeah, I don't use that word either, and I wouldn't consider myself to be one. But yeah, so your parents are psychiatrists, you said? Psychologists. Okay. Did you study that as well in school, or?
So I always like grew up and I'm like, I'm not going to be a psychologist. Why would I do that? And right now I'm actually applying for a master's program as a counselor. So yes, I guess I want to grow up to be a psychedelic psychologist when that's an option, which is never something I thought I would say. I never thought I would do the same thing as my parents, but here I am.
Well, I got you on record here admitting that, so yeah.
Yeah, show that to them. They'll be thrilled.
They'll be thrilled, yeah. Well, yeah, because it's fucking awesome that now I wish that I sort of had any inkling that this was a possibility when I was entering into school. I mean, I guess there's always the opportunity to go back, but I'm not going to do that. But the opportunity now for people in psychology is to get into altered states and transpersonal work and this stuff. I mean, there's a university dedicated to this, Naropa, and several others, CIIS in San Francisco, is it? Yeah. Yeah. And others?
And others, yeah. I mean, I wish that I knew this was a possibility. Like, I have a bachelor's degree in computers. Like, not really applicable. I'm making a switch, but I wish I knew that this was. And I mean, maybe this is just something that's emerging. Like this, maybe this wasn't an option when I first started in college.
Right. Yeah. But it's a good thing it is emerging.
Yeah, and I feel really blessed. I feel like I'm at the perfect time. Like if I'm in school for 3 more years, I feel like that puts me right around when we have a chance to see MDMA becoming a prescription, as well as FDA for like a treatment, FDA approval for psilocybin as a treatment for depression. Like both of those are forecasted to be around 3 years out. Mm-hmm. So maybe perfect time for me to be getting into this field.
Yeah, totally. And you're still young, so you know it's all good. It works out.
Yeah, plenty of time.
What's I mean, these are all really exciting things, and obviously, like 2019 was such an exciting year. You know, we decriminalized mushrooms here in Denver, and many other things are going on. Now we're entering into 2020. What's like really exciting for you right now in this world, in the psychedelic altered states world?
Yeah, so 2019 was a huge year for psychedelics. I think it was a catalyst for a decade that we're going to see a lot of things happen. So I'm really excited for like the long-term view. Like, what is this decade going to offer this psychedelic renaissance? Like, I think we're really into it now, and I'm curious to see what happens. Like, the last time we had the psychedelic renaissance, there was this big backlash. Are we going to see something like that again? And I don't know, really exciting to see decriminalize like Denver and decriminalize Oakland transform into this like nationwide decriminalized nature movement. Like, I see so many cities now that have a decriminalized nature movement. So I'm really excited to see how that happens in the future. Like, can we make a move as a country to like decriminalize nature, decriminalize all drugs? Like, I think those are on the table. Like, we even have like some presidential candidates like Yang talking about decriminalizing all drugs. So that's pretty cool. Like, that wouldn't have even been on the table 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's so cool. And I think things are really moving a lot faster. And I think it's just because like everybody is just constantly connected to the internet everywhere, wherever you go. So the message can spread faster and little pockets can pop up. Little psychedelic clubs can pop up in different places. Little decriminalization efforts can pop up in different places. So yeah, I mean, I know like McKenna's talked about this and a lot of other people have talked about it, like the fusion of the internet and psychedelics into this sort of like philosopher's stone for a new emergence of human consciousness and renaissance. It's fucking exciting.
Yeah, the internet's like such a cool tool for sharing knowledge and communication about these things. Like before, the McKennas had to write a book about like Mushroom Grower's Guide. Now you just post it on Reddit and people can see it immediately. You have this cool new tech to grow mushrooms. You have this tech to isolate psilocybin. Post it on the internet and people can read about it and try it and be like, man, this was really cool, but I did this differently and this happened. So I just think that like all this knowledge sharing really accelerates like how fast we can learn about these things if we have people who are willing to do it in like a scientific manner. Like, try this, write down what, see what happens, and like post about it, and then gather other people's anecdotes, talk about it. And I think these little pockets, like these communities to share experiences, are really, really important.
Yeah, definitely. No, for sure. And yeah, I'm always learning new stuff. Like I feel like every day, so fucking cliche to say, every day you learn something new, but I do. And like just what you said, can you recall like anything that sticks out in your mind of something that exciting that you learned new, of like how to do something or grow something or change something or
Yeah, I mean, this week in general, I've been learning about cactuses. It feels like this has been the cactus week. So last night, I saw you, we were at a Psychedelic Professionals night. NOAC Society, and we were learning about cactuses. And before I went to that, I was planting some cactuses with my friends. So this week, at least, I've been learning a lot about San Pedro, how to take care of them, the different, like, species and genomes. So that's been like the theme this week, and I don't really know a lot about cactus, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too. Same. I feel like I really learned a lot last night, and I got a little cacti over there who's, he's hanging on. I got to take care of him a little bit better, but yeah, really, I think, I don't know, maybe ayahuasca and mushrooms are kind of like my wheelhouse, or what I know the most about and what I've done the most. But yeah, what about for you?
LSD, I feel like, has always been the psychedelic that's vibed with me. Mushrooms make my tummy upset. I don't know. I microdose LSD sometimes, and it really, really helps me with like creativity and just like mindfulness, just being like aware that I run my thoughts, not the other way around.
What about DMT?
Ooh, yes, I like DMT. I wish I knew more chemistry. I heard it's not very hard to make. I was microdosing DMT for a while, and I really enjoyed that. It felt very grounding. I would like do a little DMT in the morning and do some meditation and some yoga, and that was wonderful for a while.
Wow. Yeah, I've only had a little experience with it, and I just feel I haven't really been super like pulled to it or called to it. But yeah, I'm interested to learn a little bit more about some of your experiences with it. You said that you used to micro and meditate, micro and yoga.
Micro yoga, micro meditate in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would just take a little bit of the DMT powder. I smoke like cannabis extract a lot for various reasons, and I would just put a little bit of DMT with my morning cannabis, and that really felt helpful. It felt very grounding, very healing, and it's very short, but I just felt very grounded for the rest of my day.
Nice. Yeah. Wow. You said for various reasons. What are some of the reasons?
I don't know. I feel like cannabis makes me more creative. It makes me more active. I really like cannabis and yoga as a combination. I feel like it makes me more flexible and open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I haven't done much yoga, but I like to smoke and meditate. Yeah, I feel like that's a good connection.
Yeah, it's the same thing with yoga too, like that mindfulness body meditation.
It's a meditation.
That movement meditation plus cannabis just feels so nice to me, to like be able to sink into that movement.
Yeah. Nice. What's like your favorite, well, I guess you kind of already answered that question. I'm gonna say cannabis, right? Like, that's your favorite.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still a pothead.
Well, I mean, it's such an amazing plant, and it has so many uses and applications. You know, it's a really wonderful plant.
Yeah, most definitely. In general, I really have a hard time eating. I was on prescription ADHD meds as a kid, and I really think that interfered with my body's like ability to.
Adderall.
Yeah, Adderall,
me too,
Vyvanse, Ritalin,
Oh,
a
yes.
bunch of different prescription amphetamines for a long
Terrible.
time, and I really think that negatively impacted my body's ability to tell me that I'm hungry. So I don't feel like I ever really get hungry, like signals in my body.
Wow, still?
Still, yeah.
Holy
like,
shit!
it's
How long were
been,
you taking it for?
I don't know, probably 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Daily.
Yeah, daily for a long time.
How many milligrams?
I don't know, like a medium dose.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still don't feel like I really get hungry in the same way that normal people do. Sometimes if I when I smoke cannabis, I can feel hungry, but I don't think without like THC I ever feel really hungry.
Wow.
So that's the predominant reason I think I consume it.
I'm feeling a little hungry right now, and I'm getting that sensation that happens right in the center of like my body when I'm hungry, and like right in my center of my gut or intestines or wherever I'm pointing to right here, because I haven't eaten in like 5 hours. So I'm feeling my body's like, we got to eat. We haven't eaten. So you don't experience that?
Yeah. So I don't get if I smoke some.
Wow.
I'll feel that, but without that, I think it's 36 hours or something. I'll feel hunger pains. I'll feel and then I'll be like, man, when did the last time I eat? And then I have to go back and do the math. And I'm like, man, I haven't eaten in 48 hours. And I'm like, well, I should probably go eat.
So you don't you don't have regular meals or whatever?
I try to,
Yeah.
but I don't know. My body never really wants food. And
Well, you're in good shape.
I'm just ridiculously skinny. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
that
mean,
means I'm in good shape.
yeah. Well, I mean, I would say so. Yeah.
I mean, I try to. I do a lot of hot yoga, so I try to stay in shape. I like movement in general.
But
It feels good
do
to
you
move.
like food though?
No, not really. I don't have this emotional attachment with food that everyone else seems to have.
Whoa. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I've had definitely when I was experiencing bouts of depression, food would be sort of a real go-to comfort for me, emotional support and comfort. And I've definitely put on a lot of weight in the past, and still I'm trying to kind of cut back a little bit. But wow. And so this is attributed to your medicated youth.
Yeah, I think so. I think that a lot of my formative years were spent under the influence of amphetamines, which interfere with the hunger signals. And I just think that part of my brain doesn't wire the way that it should.
Right. What about neurologically? Anything is it just that, or do you think 10 years of taking those meds had any other effects?
Oh, I mean, I'm sure it had other effects. I don't know what it is, but if I wasn't
Nothing noticeable.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't ADHD in the first place, I definitely am after 10 years of amphetamine use.
Yeah. Do you think that that's even really a real thing, ADHD?
I don't know. I read this really interesting article that Sweden has I think it was 90-something% less rate of diagnosing ADHD. That they have other things, they let the kids go outside, they change different education for the kids that are bored. So I think that, who knows, I think it very well might be a manufactured illness. And I've read articles that's from people who said maybe that's true, from doctors and stuff that have talked about the history of it. So I don't know, it's an interesting topic.
I definitely lean towards the side of saying that it's totally a manufactured thing. I mean, I guess because that's what kids want to do. Kids want to be outside. Kids want to play. Kids want to be creative. Kids want to draw. They want to act. They want to sing. They want to dance. They want to, when oftentimes I take a psychedelic, I feel very childlike too, and man, I'm in this infinite, abundant, creative realm, and I just feel goofy and silly, and I want to play and be free and wild and like a kid, like a kid. And when I look at my nieces and nephews, they're wide-eyed and curious, and yeah, I mean, I think that in order to kind of keep this game that we got going on, school and consumerism and this whole racket, that you kind of have to say that the kids, you're like, hey, if you want to adapt to this dominant status quo story, the best way to do that is amphetamines for the kids. Have them with your Cheerios, So, yeah, I think it's a kind of a fucked up thing to be giving kids methamphetamine, and then people like look at what you can't even feel when you're hungry. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pharmaceutical industry.
Fucking pharmaceuticals. Yeah. And I don't know, like psychedelics definitely give me that like childlike sense of wonder. I think that's the main like experience I have, is like being able to be like find the magic again with psychedelics.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're at every meeting at the Psychedelic Club. You're there. And when I've attended, and I've noticed that like there's always some people there that have never experienced psychedelics. Maybe sometimes it's older people, and they're like, I've never, I read Michael Pollan's book, I never knew, and I came here. Do you get do like people come up to you and start asking you questions? I mean, I'm sure you probably get questions a lot, being in your position. Like, what are some of the common ones that you get about?
I mean, the question I get the most is, where can I buy drugs? Where can I
buy drugs?
And I'm like, I can't help you buy drugs. Don't buy drugs.
Yeah.
But after that, I think a lot of people read Michael Pollan's book and they want like a guided experience. And
right.
I think that's hard to find a guided experience. So I think that's probably the second most common question I get is, how do I find a guided experience? And then after that, I have a lot of like, I think knowledge-based questions, like setting questions, like safety questions, trip sitter questions. I think I get a lot of like, what is a trip sitter? How do I find a trip sitter? And there's a lot of good resources on the internet about how to be a good trip sitter. Zendo Project has a great collection of resources on how to effectively help people and hold space for them to have a psychedelic experience.
Yeah. I know before when you were talking a little bit about, I think trip sitting kind of falls into this realm as well, but just the psychedelic with altered states integration, kind of, the prep and everything that goes on into it. I was wondering maybe if you could just kind of like describe a little bit more about the sort of nose to tail, if you will, like process of trip sitting and integrating, just from kind of like an objective point of view, if you will. Yeah,
so I think trip sitting is like the opposite of a guide. Like a guide curates this experience for you. Like this is an ayahuasquero or something. They like have the music, and a trip sitter is the opposite of that. They are uninfluenceable. They are just there to make sure that you're safe. And I think that really, really can be important to like just let somebody sink in and surrender into an experience. Is just knowing that somebody's there to watch over you. And I don't know. So creating a safe space, I think, is really, really important to having a space for the psychedelic experience to take place. And I don't know, different people have different ideas of safety, right? Somebody might be so happy to be in nature, and then somebody else be like, hell no, I want to be inside in my bed with running water and a real toilet. Like, fuck this camping bullshit. Like,
yeah.
So I think that's really, really important to have this conversation with your trip sitter ahead of time. Maybe your trip sitter is your friend and you know them already, but I think just like having this honest conversation with whoever is going to be your trip sitter about why you're taking the substance. Like, are you just trying to have fun? Like, fun is a totally acceptable intention. So, I don't know. A lot of what we talk about with altered states is like this pre-trip checklist. Like, do you have an intention? What are you trying to get out of this experience? And I think they talk that over with your trip sitter, because your experience is going to look different depending on what your intention is. Like if you're trying to have this medicinal experience, maybe you want like some eye shades, you lie in bed, you have like a playlist curated that's like trying to fit the vibe that you're looking for.
Yeah. Well, I love that you said fun is a perfectly acceptable intention, because I feel like some people might disagree with that, but I don't. And it's like, yeah, if you're, I think Pollan actually brings this up in his book about Bob Jesse, saying how psychedelics can be amazing tools for healing trauma and the people that suffer. But Bob Jesse says they could also be amazing tools for the betterment of the well. So if you're somebody that's pretty good and you don't have a lot of demons and trauma or PTSD and things like that, you just want to have an experience, or you're well versed and you've had a lot of experiences and you're just like, I want to have fun, that's okay too, right?
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about psychedelics is you can be like, I want to have fun, and then while you're having fun is healing. Play is so healing. Like, there's a reason that play therapy is a thing. And while you're having fun, I think you can heal. And I think a lot of people talk about it like it's mutually exclusive. Like, oh, if you're having fun, you're not doing any work. But sometimes enjoying life is work, right? Practicing enjoying life seems like a pretty good experience to me, right? Like practicing joy, and a lot of the time I feel like these experiences you have in the psychedelic state, you can then take them into your default reality, hopefully, where maybe if you can be more joyful in the psychedelic state, you can then use that as a model for how to be more grateful or joyful in your day-to-day.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. You brought up transpersonal a couple times. So are you a big fan of Stanislav Grof?
Yes, I
is
really,
that your
really
main
like.
guy?
Yeah, I like Stanislav Grof. I'm really, really interested in specifically like his work on LSD psychotherapy. Just a lot of what he's written about LSD psychotherapy is so fascinating to me, and I think that's really why I'm interested in helping people integrate experiences, and why I'm drawn to like being a psychedelic therapist as a career path. Hopefully, is because of a lot of the Grof that I've read. And I need to get his new 2-parter, The Way of the Psychonaut. I have not read that one yet.
I haven't read that, yeah.
It's nice and intimidating. Very thick.
Nice. What are some parts of his work that really kind of stands out to you or have stuck with you? Some things that maybe you've taken away from it that you, try and infuse into your life and your practices and work? I
guess like one of the things that really inspires me about Grof is like how invested he is in this transpersonal like space exploration of like this transpersonal space. He starts off, he's an LSD psychotherapist, and he's using that as a tool to explore these big like transpersonal spaces where, I don't know, it's very ethereal. These aren't like experiences that are put into words very easily. That's a hard thing to study. And then LSD makes it pretty easy to have these like big transpersonal like ethereal experiences. But then the government bans LSD, and I feel like for most people that would be the end of their work, right? They did work with this substance, the substance is banned, they go do something else. But he develops holotropic breathwork, this breathwork that's designed to introduce like altered states, which I just find so fascinating, that he is so invested in like the exploring these states that he figures out a different way to induce these than this substance that he's been studying for years. So that's like, I think just like how invested he is at like exploring these spaces that really inspires me.
Oh yeah, he's a brilliant, pioneer and innovator. I mean, it's amazing. The body is psychedelic. The breath is psychedelic. Like
the breath is so psychedelic,
yeah.
And that's something that I feel like I've been engaging in deep with meditation and yoga, is like using the breath as a tool in these psychedelic spaces. Like anybody who hasn't tried meditating on psychedelics should definitely try that.
Yeah, definitely. And I can't emphasize it enough, that coming back to your breath, it's like a dial, or like a lever or switch or something that you can kind of ground yourself a little bit more and kind of come back to center and be more with the experience and not be off in crazy land and, kind of just be like, well, okay, like the breath is such a good regulator. Would you say it's like something like that, or maybe it's something more?
Oh, yeah, no, I'd fully agree with what you say, that like the breath is such a good tool to like ground down and then I think move those energies through you. Like I think psychedelics really can bubble up some things, and I think your breath helps you sit with whatever bubbles up and then move through it, right? Let go of what doesn't serve you. And I think that's been one of like the big takeaways from my yoga practice, has been using the breath as a tool. And I think that expands to psychedelic states as well. It's so grounding. Like your psychedelic experience is overwhelming, like return to your breath. And I think it guides your experience, like if you can just focus on that.
Yeah. Do you think maybe this is something that a lot of people don't know? And I'm curious to know, what is there anything maybe that you think that is either like a common misconception or just something that maybe a lot of people don't know, and maybe that and you'd like to share and kind of tell people about? Is there anything that comes to your mind that you can think of about in that realm?
I don't know. I just think in general, like, I guess returning to like the trip sitter concept, I think just being there for people, just I'm here with you is one of the things that I think really resonates with me, is that's something, that's all that a trip sitter is you're just there with them. And you're a witness, and you're not trying to like help them like push away negative thoughts. Like something negative comes up as a trip sitter, you're just there with you. You witness that. You're like, oh, that sounds really tough. Can I like help you? Do you want a hug? Like, do you just want to talk about it? Do you just want to cry about it? Like, so I don't know. I think just like that's one of the big takeaways for me and my Zendo project work is just that idea of being present with somebody. Is you're being this grounded, safe space for somebody to be like, hey, I'm here with you. Like, you're okay. And I think that's so huge to hear sometimes, that when you're in like a difficult psychedelic experience, to hear that like your friend is like, hey man, it's okay. Yeah. I'm here with you. Like it's all okay.
It's so simple and so easy. I mean, we all have, hopefully everyone has friends. I mean, I guess I feel bad for people that don't, but if those of us fortunate to have friends, and if you don't have friends, check it out. Friends is good. Friends are great. You should get some friends. But it's like just being there. I mean, I remember so many times that I was in an experience where someone would just come up to me and be like, hey, you're doing okay. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am. Oh
okay.
My God, yeah, I'm here and you're here, and it's like, it's so supportive, and it's a simple concept, but I think everything that we've been talking about, it's psychedelics don't exist in and of themselves to do anything in this like vacuum. We ingest them and form this kind of symbiotic relationship with them, or this partnership, this communion with them. And we're also doing that when we get together. Like we were talking about in the beginning of the show, remote podcast versus the one we're doing now, where I'm sitting in front of you and we're talking. It's like, we're here. Like, here we are. Here we all are. And if we're in this work, I think that's important to find the others. And I think that's what Psychedelic Club has done. I mean, I know that's what it's done. That's been such a important part of my life too. Just bringing people together and being there for people. And then all of the other ancillary pieces that go along with that, whether it's the trip sitting, holding space, integration work, or just being there to listen to a friend.
Yeah, no, I really agree with what you said, and I love that you said find the others, because I really think that that's a lot of what I'm passionate about, is community building and finding the others. And I feel like I really, really had that experience with Zendo Project of finding the others, of finding other people who are interested in these substances and helping people in difficult experiences. So, I don't know, I've really been inspired by like psychedelic communities, and I think they're so, so important to spread knowledge, like we were talking about in the beginning, like Dan Safe and Arrowwood, for like spreading knowledge. So I don't know, that's really what I feel like one of Psychedelic Club's missions is spreading knowledge, like spreading this education-based knowledge, not this like propaganda, but here's like some real facts. And I don't know, culture in general just really fascinates me, like intentional culture. Like Terrence says, culture's not your friend. And I feel like in general he's true, but what happens if we make like a culture that doesn't suck? Like, what would that look like?
Oh, totally. I'm right there with you. I mean, I think that this is what we see playing out, right? We are developing a culture by going to NOAC meetings, by going to Psychedelic Club meetings, by going to concerts and shows and going on hikes and being with friends. And it's like there's a culture that's forming there. And then the decriminalization culture, the culture of decriminalization, it's entering into kind of the public consciousness. And so the way I think that things move the needle isn't necessarily from top-down hierarchical centralized authority figures mandating rules, laws, and regulations. Maybe we need them to help kind of pull that lever, but grassroots, voluntary, spontaneous organization of just people who are passionate and love psychedelics and love and love people.
Yeah, there's a quote, I don't remember who it's by, but I have it on my wall, and it says, the only way that things are going to happen is with a small group of passionate people. And that's really resonated with me. Like, I feel like I used to feel powerless, and then a small group of me and my friends and other passionate people like came together and we formed Decriminalize Denver, and we did something that's huge. So I don't know, just that's been what part of my journey has been, really finding a sense of empowerment that we are the change, right? That these connections and communities we're building are important in making changes in the world.
Yeah, and you and I and people like Travis and everybody else, we have all seen this firsthand. And I feel like moving here in last January was like kind of like a newbie into it, but welcomed with open arms. And I'm still just always amazed by it, because I think the outside looking in, maybe people think, oh, it was like this, who knows what it was, but it was just people that really cared and came together. And so the reason why I say that is just because, for people listening, it's like, you can do it too. Like, we can all do it. If you want to do it, you can do it. And you get together with other people that want to do it, and you just start taking action, start plugging into this reality, and turn the knob.
I think that's so important, that it's always just a small group of dedicated people who are doing it, and you can do it too. Decriminalize Nature exists. There's this national organization that exists to provide resources for people who are doing a decriminalize effort. So grassroots organize, find your friends, find the others, find other people who are passionate about political change and do something about it. Find some lawyer friends, find some people who have political influences, talk to your local legislator. And it doesn't need to be on a big level. These are city initiatives. These aren't even state initiatives at this point, but it's small change, and it's not easy, but it's doable.
It's doable on the local level for sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best way to go about making change, because look at the federal level, and it's they're like, oh man, it's just too much. It's too much bureaucratic bullshit and nonsense. And it seems like it's impossible to change anything, stop the foreign wars and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, at a local level, it's possible. It's doable.
Yeah. I think our political system's a mess at the federal level, but at the local level, on smaller scales, I think democracy in our country can and is working. So talk to your local representatives, talk to your friends. I don't know, talk to Decriminalize Denver.
Talk to Tobey.
Yeah. Form a psychedelic club. Talk to people about it. And I think really just that's what it comes down to, right? More conversation, more exposure to these topics is important, because I think that's kind of brings us back to what we were talking about at the beginning, right? Technology as a tool to spread knowledge.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why we're seeing change happen so fast.
Definitely.
Is that Decriminalize Denver happened, and then a month later you have Decriminalize Oakland, where they not only decriminalized mushrooms, but they decriminalized all of nature, ayahuasca, ibogaine, cactuses.
Yeah, and I think there's bills in over 100 different cities now throughout the country. There's it's cool that we have this kind of stuff going on, and it's happening at the local level, and that's the best way to get involved and to make change. Tobey, thank you for being on the show, man. I really appreciate you coming here and talking about this. Do you think there's anything that we didn't touch on that you kind of wanted to talk about or mention or say or get out there?
Yeah, so I guess I just wanted to hammer home or reiterate a little bit about the package that I'm launching with Altered States. I made a discount code for listeners of your podcast.
All right, nice.
So listeners of your podcast can go to alteredstatesintegration.com if you're looking to have the homework part of the experience and the integration part of the experience. We have a whole course coming up. It's 3 courses, guided. We take a break for integration, and then we have unlimited, or we take a break for the Altered State experience. Then afterwards, we have unlimited integration that you can utilize. And then if you sign up, you get our next 2 podcast webinar classes for free.
Oh, cool. All right. So what's the code?
Discount code Psychedelic.
Psychedelic discount code. And how much is the discount?
So the discount code will knock off $20 from the final purchase.
$20. That's pretty awesome. Thank you for doing that. That's super cool, because I know a lot of people listening are looking for those resources, and maybe they don't have it where they are. And so this is online. And is it live or is it recorded?
So we have all the classes are live. So it starts off with a short get to know you session. That's a one-on-one. We talk to you, we get to know what you're trying to get out of your experience. And then we have 2 different classes before you take the break for the Altered State experience. So we have a class on intention setting. What is an intention? How do you set an intention? What's a good intention for you? We don't tell you what your intention is. Obviously, that's something for you to discover and do yourself. We basically give you all the information you need to set an intention. Then the second class we have is a discovering stumbling blocks. That's a tongue twister.
That was a really apt
Yeah,
point
so
to stumble.
we talk about things that might be pain points and identifying them beforehand. Maybe you're trying to work through some trauma, but like identifying that sometimes working through trauma is hard and messy, and that you might run into some pain associated with it. So then there's a break for the altered state experience. That's not something we can help you with, unfortunately, but there's a lot of good options. Breath work, cannabis breath work, I think is a great option. Holotropic breath work is a great option. If you're in a decriminalized area, there's a lot of options available as well. And then we offer one-on-one integration coaching with one of our coaches. And then we have a peer integration group. So that's kind of like the format of our class.
Oh, awesome. So then after the experience, you get a little one-on-one with a coach, and then you can be with a group.
Yeah, and it's the the same
great.
cohort. It's like a 3 to 6 month like chunk. So you have the whole cohort. So you take the classes. So these are people that you talk with before the experience. Then afterwards you get to like share your experience, and then you kind of like make some connections as well.
Oh, great. Like a club, and you'll get to know people.
Yeah. So
cool.
I don't know, really interested in community building in general. So any ways that I think we can build community is really important.
That's so nice. Awesome. And when does that begin? When does that launch?
So January 28th is when we're starting our first flight, and then this will be something that we open up occasionally, and then there'll just be chunks. We're thinking every 3 to 6 months we'll open it up. We're just going to see what a good pacing is. We're not sure what's going to be a perfect pacing for the classes, so we're going to like talk to people once we get our first group and see what's a good pacing for everyone.
Well, that sounds really cool. Yeah. So if you're interested, please check that out, because I think it's such a super useful thing. And I've been on the website and I took a look around and saw, some really good stuff on there. And the way that you just laid that out sounds perfect. I really like that format. That sounds really nice. So yeah, go to Altered States Integration and you can sign up for it.
So you can sign up for it. We also have a lot of other good resources on alteredstatesintegration.com. We have a blog. A lot of the topics that I talked about tonight, like safe space, curating integration, stuff like that. We dig into deeper for our blogs. And then we have a 4-part free webinar that you can sign up for. That is it's Psychedelic Healing 101. So we just have a lot of really good resources, education, if you want to check it out.
And this particular one that you're offering the code for is called?
This is Vision 2020.
Vision 2020. Okay, so when that launches January 28th, you could sign up Vision 2020, enter Psychedelic, you get $20 off, and you get some awesome guidance and advice and all kinds of good space holding.
Yeah, and then you also get our 2 upcoming classes for free. We have my business partner Elizabeth has a class called DIY Psychology, Pairing Psychedelics with Psychology, where she explores DBT framework and how to like use that as a framework for a psychedelic experience. And then we have a harm reduction class coming up in March.
Yeah, I saw Elizabeth, and she is specialized in. Damn it, I forgot.
She's a nutrition coach.
Yes, okay,
as one of her.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So yeah, she's a nutrition coach. I think she brings a great perspective. She led 2 of our short Psychedelic Healing 101 webinars, and she presents this from the lens of a nutritionist, which I think is really, really interesting, because a lot of these psychedelics are plant medicines.
Yeah, you're ingesting them.
Yeah, so she talks about that as like this human history of how we were introduced to these plants as plant sacraments. They're not like chemicals originally. They were plants that we encountered.
Right.
So I think she really has a unique perspective as a nutritionist, and then as a coach. I think that provides a lot of good tools for people to unpack psychedelic experiences, as she's been a nutrition coach for a while. I think that transfers over great to be a psychedelic coach.
Yeah, definitely. And it was funny, I was just reading something today about sort of, like the mind-body connection and health and nutrition and food and healthy gut and healthy body and nutrition and all of the, and I believe last night at the talk, like Max was really adamant about saying you are what you eat. I think he said it really emphatically a couple times about you are what you eat. So yeah, you are what you eat. Eat a lot of psychedelics. Be psychedelic.
No, I agree. I think you are what you eat, right? If you don't garbage in, garbage out is something that I learned as like programming, but I think it applies to nutrition too. Mm-hmm. Like, how can you feel good and do good if you're eating crap?
Right. Yeah, totally. Well, thank you so much for offering that code. That's so cool. So go check it out. Psychedelic is the code. Altered States Integration, Vision 2020. Tobey, thank you so much for being here. And check out Psychedelic Club. And if you want to start one too, you can reach out and form a chapter, right, in your own town.
Yeah, I highly recommend if you're interested in psychedelics, community building, intentional community, anything like that. Reach out to Psychedelic Club. If there's not one in your area, you should start one. I make all my friends there. That's how I met you, Mike.
Yeah.
So my life would be very different if I wasn't engaged in Psychedelic Club. So highly recommend anybody who's interested in something like this, start their own. It's not that hard. You start it with a couple of your friends and you talk about psychedelics. And then we've grown so much. Like out of Psychedelic Club of Denver grew Decriminalize Denver. And we now have a huge online following, and we have so many speakers and just so many connections that are happening, which is so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and and don't be like, you know, I mean, I don't know how you're being right now. How are you being right now? I hope everybody's well out there. But if you're in Denver, show up, come. You know, you're welcome. You don't have to be, even if you've never done psychedelics and you're interested or you're curious, or maybe you don't want to do any psychedelics, but you're floating and, you know, meditating and doing yoga and smoking like whatever it is, come on down and say hi.
Yeah, so Psychedelic Club of Denver meets every Monday at 7:30 p.m. We meet at a coffee shop called Hooked on Colfax. If you're in Denver, we'd love to have you. If not, we're on Facebook, and you should follow us. We post a bunch of really good psychedelic articles, so if you're just interested in psychedelics in terms of research, check out Psychedelic Club of Denver on Facebook. We post so many good articles, and I learned so much just reading our posts online.
Awesome. Now, I could let you get out of here. I could say the podcast is done and we're going to wrap up, but I was just thinking, do you have any really cool psychedelic stories that you want to share? Maybe
real cool.
Well, I mean,
stories.
it doesn't have to be like really cool. What is that anyway? But any fun psychedelic stories?
Yeah, I got a good one for you.
Cool.
So
all right,
thank you so much.
Buckle in, folks.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This has been a blast.
Yeah.
So this one's a DMT experience.
Ooh.
This one's a breakthrough DMT experience. No microdose, and this one's a full one.
All right, full on DMT.
So I take it's less about the experience and more about what happens afterwards. But let me tell you about the experience because that's part of the fun, right? So I take a dab of DMT. If you don't dab your DMT, dab DMT. Shout out to dabbing DMT.
Yeah, shout out to dabs.
So I break through and I see this female entity, and she's so complex, like ethereal. I don't know how to describe entities to somebody who hasn't seen it, but she's huge. She's expansive, and she shows me this. She has this knowledge that she wants to impart on me, and she like gestures with her hand, and there's this 4-dimensional space. Something I've like read is called like a tesseract, based on like physics and stuff. It's this 3-dimensional cube that like fractals in on itself forever. And she's like gesturing towards it, and it's just so important. There's something huge and important about like this knowledge of this shape that's like fractaling in on itself. And I don't know if I ever like understand what it is, but that's not like the point of the story. So I have this experience where she's like showing me the shape, and we have an integration circle at Denver Psychedelic Club, and somebody's talking about their DMT experience. And it was like 2 weeks after I had my experience, and they're talking about their experience, and I swear, shot for shot. And they got a lot deeper into the experience. And like I gave you like the 30-second breakdown. They talked about this for like 5 or 10 minutes. About this entity that they saw. They described her vividly. They described this like shape that she was showing them. And as far as I can tell, like shot for shot, this person had the same DMT experience as I did.
Whoa.
And like this wasn't any prompting. Like I was an integration circle facilitator. So I'm sitting there and I'm just holding space for the other people to have their experiences. So it's not like I'm like, man, I had this DMT experience where I saw this entity and she like showed me a shape. And then he's like, oh yeah, me too.
Right.
And like that was it. This is somebody who told like a 10-minute DMT trips report, and
no knowledge of you,
no knowledge
prior,
of me
talking about this or anything. You're just sitting there listening. So is your mind just like blowing?
My mind's like blown. And I don't know, DMT in general just makes me question the nature of reality we exist in.
Yeah.
But that was definitely like a mind fuck. Somebody like shares a psychedelic experience, and I'm like, I've had that trip.
Whoa. Yeah. What is that like? I mean, I've had a similar one, but not like that. But yeah, there's something there's something strange afoot at the Circle K, folks.
Yeah, and normally I wouldn't believe people when they like told me stuff like this, but like I had this trip report written down in my journal. Somebody told me their experience. I went home and I double checked my journal as any good scientist would, and I'm like, man, that seems like a shot for shot like remake.
Wow. Yeah, it's always, just when you think you're like, wow, this is strange, it's always getting stranger.
Yeah, the rabbit hole always goes a little deeper, I feel like I found.
Get in those rabbit holes, folks. Thanks, Tobey, for sharing that story. I really appreciate it. Thanks again for being here. Till next time, thank you for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. If you did, go and leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. You can leave a 5-star rating and a review if you feel like writing something. That would be great. It helps the show a lot, helps us bump us up in the Apple algorithm, get the podcast exposed to more people. So if you like the show, go ahead and do that. If you want to go a step further, go to patreon.com/MikeBrank. You can donate, become a patron, be a part of the Psychedelic Inner Sanctum WhatsApp chat group of people chatting and connecting all around the world. We're finding the others, bringing them together, creating community. One of my favorite things to offer. I also release bonus episodes. Sometimes I do episodes that are kind of raw and kind of beta test them for the producers of the show, which are my patrons, the people who support the show. Big shout out to everybody that's a patron. Thank you for your love and support. If you want to do a one-time donation, go to my website, mikebrank.com. Go to PayPal and do a one-time donation if you feel that. And I really like the method of donation. It's a gifting mentality, and reading Charles Eisenstein's books recently and his talks have really kind of made me embrace the spirit of the gift, of giving and gifting. And what better time than this holiday season to be generous and to give. And, you know, if you like the show, just tell people about it, spread it, share it. Also, contact me. Go to my email on my website, the contact page, mikebrank.com. Reach me on Instagram, Psychedelic_podcast. Hit me up on Facebook. Send me your messages. Send me your thoughts. Send me guest suggestions, ideas. Share your story with me. Reach out. Give me feedback. What do you like? What don't you like? And I love to hear from people. I always respond. So you can go ahead and do that. If you're interested in CBD, we have Hemp Bombs as a sponsor. You can go to hempbombs.com, get all kinds of CBD stuff. And I used to take their gummies. I think I'm going to start taking them again. I ran out, so I got to get some more. But they're really good. And yeah, check it out. If you're interested in CBD, you want to give it a try, put in the code Mike15 at checkout and get 15% off all of your CBD wants, desires, needs, and so forth. Big shout out to Danny Barnett and Galaxia for the music, the intro and the outro. And of course, thanks to Muse, who I mash up their song and put the Terrence McKenna clips and everything in without their permission, but somehow I'm still able to do it. So thanks, because I love that. And what else? I don't know. Thank you so much to everybody for your love and support, for listening. And yeah, I really, from the bottom of my heart, really can't express how grateful I am that out of all the podcasts out there that you choose this one to listen to. And like I said, let's really make this a collaborative effort. If there's something that you hear, that you notice, you know, something going on with the show that you're like, hey, you used to do this or you do that, or I'd like to see this, or hey, did you ever think about that? Shoot me a message. I'm open. I communicate. I message back. I like this to be a collaborative effort. I want more community involved in this. So anyway, thanks. And till next time, peace.